Hi, hello, and welcome back. Today I've got 4 pretty healthy, delicious meal ideas to share with you, all made without much effort, so you can spend the majority of your lunch break doing some actual relaxing, catching up on some YouTube, reading. Though I must say, I haven't fully figured out the reading and eating at the same time thing yet. Anyway, this first recipe is for this miso aubergine bun. Super yummy and maybe kind of a nice change up to your usual smoked tofu sandwich. First off, you line a baking sheet with parchment paper and preheat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius. Then you grab a small to medium sized aubergine and cut it lengthwise into 4 to 6 slices. Lay those slices out on the baking sheet and brush each one of them with some olive oil before you spread some miso paste on top of that. I'm using genmai miso paste here. I'm sure you can use any kind you like. If you wish, sprinkle some extra spices on there. Bake these guys for 20 to 25 minutes. In the meantime, if you want to, you could also whip up a quick little yogurt sauce out of some unsweetened soy yogurt, white tahini, white wine vinegar, and some salt or spices of choice. I also added a tiny bit of maple syrup since it tasted a bit too bitter for me, but that can be skipped. I got this sesame pretzel bun here from Den's. Spread it with some hummus or vegan cream cheese, then add some greens of choice. I went for arugula here. And then like 3 to 4 aubergine slices, perhaps also some sliced tomato, and then finish it off with a drizzle of the yogurt sauce. But yeah, that would be meal number 1. It was super good. Alright, next up we've got this pesto tempeh burrito. The inspiration for this recipe comes from a wrap I had recently at Goodies. Mine turned out very different. First off, cut your plain tempeh. First off, cut your plain tempeh in half and then into bite-sized pieces. Honestly, you could also use tofu. And now you're gonna marinate it in some vegan store-bought red pesto. And then place this bowl into the fridge for at least 1 hour. So this step can actually be done the night before as well, or the morning off, like right after breakfast, because of course the longer the tempeh sits, the more flavor it will absorb. Now the second main component that makes up this wrap is a chickpea type salad, like an egg type salad. To eliminate the work that would be mashing up the chickpeas with a fork, I decided to pulse them in my food processor for just a few seconds. In a small bowl, combine all the ingredients for the dressing. Bring together the chickpeas and the dressing. I also added some finely chopped pickled jalapenos. How long has it been? Feels like forever. These can of course also be added to the dressing in the first place. To a lightly greased non-stick skillet, I'm adding the marinated tempeh now, letting it cook for about 7 minutes on medium-high, flipping the pieces every once in a while. Then I added a careful splash of soy sauce and let everything continue to cook for another 1 to 2 minutes. I couldn't find any whole wheat tortillas anywhere, like they use at the cafe. But anyway, I added a couple tablespoons of the chickpea mix to the middle, and then added some of the tempeh chunks. Then some black beans. They also had avocado or guacamole in their wrap, which I skipped, and then just used some vegan chili mayo instead. Also added some cherry tomatoes, some lettuce for a bit of crunch. And then I rolled this up tightly, trying to tuck in the sides. This final step is kind of crucial, toasting up the wrap for 1 to 2 minutes on each side over medium-high heat. I almost burnt it, but not quite. This was so nice. Would 1000% eat again. Alright, so next up we've got this super simple avocado bowl here. Not the most aesthetic one out of the bunch, but honestly so good. To make things easier the next day, I prepped 2 things the night before. First, I cooked up some quinoa. If it's quite warm where you are right now, I would suggest you transfer the quinoa to the fridge overnight. And then the second thing I did was cutting up a large onion into rings, though I would actually recommend to just cut it into cubes. But yeah, go with whatever you prefer. And then I cooked the onion in some oil for about 8 minutes over medium heat, seasoning everything with salt. And then if you want, you can also add a bit of maple syrup, letting everything continue to cook for another 2 to 3 minutes or until fully caramelized. The next day, there's not really that much to do. Mash up some ripe avocado. First I added a bunch of spices to it, some salt, lemon juice of course. I'm adding the mashed avocado to the quinoa, followed by my fried onion. Here I realized that I do prefer smaller chunks, so I tried chopping that up a bit more. Mix it up well, taste test, adjust anything if needed. I ended up adding lots more salt and lemon juice and a bunch of spices. And then I served this on some lettuce with some chopped cherry tomatoes. Maybe add some sesame or sunflower seeds to this. Or, oh my god, I know this is not the healthiest thing, but for some extra crunch, you could add some crushed tortilla chips. That would be really good. For this fourth recipe, we've got a spicy little cauliflower hummus noodle bowl. This one is super easy, but it takes a little bit of waiting around for the cauliflower to roast. Bring your oven to 180 degrees Celsius and line a baking sheet with parchment paper. Then grab a small to medium-sized cauliflower and cut that into florets. Lay those out on the baking sheet. Drizzle everything with a bit of oil, sprinkle over some salt and any other spices you might want to add. Mix everything around a bit and then put that into the oven for 30 to 40 minutes. Meanwhile, put together the main sauce. Combine some cornstarch and water in a small bowl until there's no lumps left, and then set that aside. To a small pan, the temperature turned off still, add all the other sauce ingredients. Some maple syrup, rice vinegar, dried ginger, and dried garlic, though feel free to use fresh here, it's probably gonna taste better. Some gochujang, soy sauce. Lastly, pour in the water starch mix, and then as you're mixing continuously, you can bring this up to a boil and let it simmer for about 2 minutes. You can cook up any starch or grain that you prefer here. I went for some glass noodles since they're just the easiest to cook. I also put together this little lazy hummus sauce out of store-bought Mega Good hummus, not sponsored, rice vinegar and water. And then now build your bowl or bowls. You can either add the roasted cauliflower to the sticky sauce. You can also just serve it on the side, like a dipping sauce. I'm adding the noodles as my base here, then the cauliflower. I found some cucumber and carrot in my fridge, which I decided to cut into noodle-esque ribbons. Also some sesame seeds. Feel free to add some more grains here, maybe some avocado. That would be it. That's already all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching this until the end. I seriously can't wait for the colder months. Not because of the weather, but because I get to make some fun, cozy content over here. Please let me know if there's any specific video wishes that you have for the rest of the year. I'll see you soon. Bye!